guys, I'm here to do a new book review. This is on A Great and Terrible Beauty. This is by Libba, Bray, and this is the first in the Gemma Doyle series. A Great and Terrible Beauty is part of a trilogy. The second book, Rebel Angels, and the third and last book, A Sweet Far Thing, has already been released, and I am just getting to these books now. Yeah, I finished this book yesterday. Reading this book throughout the week, it was a roller coaster of a ride for me. I was up, I was down, I was all around, I was everywhere, and I had mixed feelings about it, and I wasn't too sure. I was anxious how the first book was going to end. I know a lot of people love this series. You know, I didn't want to succumb to peer pressure. And I was like, I don't know. I really didn't know. We will see in this review how my feelings toward this book, how I felt about reading it, the elements I thought were great, what I thought were not so great, and all that. So let's get started. I'm probably gonna ramble, so let's keep this video review going. I'm gonna talk about the synopsis, what this book is all about, because you need to know. Three kind of main points I want to talk about. First is the characters. It's a very character-driven, heavy book. The next I want to talk about is the writing, because Libba Bray is an awesome writer. Third is the pacing of this book. Let's first talk about the synopsis, what this book is all about. This book is a historical fiction. This takes place in the late 1800s, and our main character is Gemma Doyle. She grew up in India. She has now turned 16, and through events and circumstances, I won't get into what those are, you'll just have to read the book to find out for yourself. A tragedy happens in India which forces her to leave and go to London to attend Spence Academy, basically a boarding school for girls. Gemma Doyle, she goes to Spence Academy, and there she meets different kinds of girls, ultimately befriends three girls in particular, Felicity, Pippa, and Anne. And all the while, she's connected to this very supernatural, paranormal group called the Order. Very mysterious and powerful. There's also a romantic element. It was more sexual tension than anything. Less romance, more sexy. Basically, the plot rolls out from there. What the story focuses on, Gemma Doyle, her relationships with her friends, discovering her abilities, what she's capable of, her past, where she came from, what this order is all about, mostly discovering herself and who she is. It's a very self-discovering kind of book. Let's talk about the characters. Can't get into characters without talking about the setting really quickly. The setting is taking place in London, late 1800s. This is a time period where women are taken care of through marriage, keeping up this facade, this appearance to look attractive, to be this well-to-do woman. But anyways, let's talk about the characters. Gemma Doyle, she's a very mysterious, outspoken character, especially during this time period. She's a girl that doesn't play by the social norm. She's very realistic as a character. She's vulnerable. She can be bratty. She's very realistic of a 16-year-old girl faced with this very claustrophobic kind of era. She is one of my favorite characters in this book. Let's talk about Felicity. She takes on a very leadership kind of role. She desires power. She desires independence, which is very difficult during this time period where you're supposed to be a follower, but she wants to break out of that. Pippa, she is very beautiful, loud, full of life. She has sweet aspirations of falling in love and being married to a man who will love her for all she is and not just of her looks. And she is a scholarship student. A scholarship student during that day and age, you wanted to keep it on the down low. Other girls at Spence Academy look down upon her. She's a very timid girl. This book was all about was the development of these characters, their aspirations, their dreams, and how they develop as a stronger girl. Those are the characters. It's very character driven. Let's talk about the writing in this book. Libba Bray is an amazing writer. She describes things very well. It's like you're with Gemma and the other girls at Spence Academy. I thought she described things just beautifully and creatively. So the biggest thing I had a problem with this book was the flow and the pacing of this book. I shouldn't assume going into books how they're gonna be alike, but I do. I can't help it. So I thought the pacing was very, very slow, especially 3/4 of the way. It had its occasional up and downs. There was always something there to remind you that something weird is going on. But I thought with the character development, different interactions between Gemma and the other girls and what they're experiencing, experiencing, I thought it was slow going. Last part of the book where, for me at least, it really picked up, and that's when chaos ensued. It exploded at the end. It's one of those books where you have to stick it through till the very end. With that being said, I'm going to give A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray a readable. I didn't know if I was going to give it a readable, but the ending definitely changed my mind about that, and I'm very glad. I think this book is really targeted towards a very specific market, women, ladies in general. Very unexpected read, an unexpected genre I was going to fall into. That's my review, guys. Hope you guys like this. Hope it was helpful. Anyways, guys, I will talk to you later, and hope you guys have a good weekend. And